Afternoon. We'll call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good afternoon. Consideration of agenda items. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, there are no additions or corrections.
Any from the board?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sir, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. And that the change just slightly where it was form would be after C under county administrator instead of after the M at the end.
After C? Yeah, as we progress in the meeting, I'll consider that, but I'm sure it won't be a problem, okay?
Can we do that?
I'll consider it when we get to it, sir, okay? All right, consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Excuse me. Payment of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, I move the payment of the bills.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Solid Waste Conservation District. Adam.
Good afternoon. We got two projects. The first one is to consider approval for project 2018-52 on County Ditch 32 to clean 3,100 feet and to also install some riprap for a cost of $96.87. Funding to come from County Ditch 32 account and award quote to Weechick Excavating of Norwood Young America.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the project 2018-.052, County Ditch 32.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Second project, consider approval of project 2018-054, County Ditch 35 to repair slough in and to also riprap corner to prevent future sloughing with the cost of $42.50 with funds coming from the County Ditch number 35 account and award quote to Weechick Excavating, Norwood Young America, Minnesota.
Any questions for Adam? If not, what is the wishes of the board? Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Adam?
No, that'd be it.
All right, thank you very much. Public Works, John?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Two items related to our state aid project 43615013. That's our Morningside reconstruction project we're planning for next year. We'd like you to consider two purchase agreements. The first one, consider approval of purchase agreement with David and Lori Shiro for property located at 1210 Morningside Drive for $350,000. Both of these purchase agreements, the acquisition, the property is necessary due to the alignment and drainage changes associated with the project I just mentioned.
Any questions for John on this?
Mr. Chair, being I worked with John and with the landowners, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ron?
John, just for clarification, the county is acquiring these properties, but this is a joint project with the city of Glencoe. Does this reduce our obligation to the overall project then?
Correct. Half of the project, anything that's not funded with outside funding would be half Glencoe, half county. So this would be included in that.
Correct. Thank you.
All right, good question. Any other questions for John, or any other discussions on the motion? Excuse me. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, the second purchase then is with property owned by Greg and Deb Kopus at 1214 Morningside Drive and for a value of $300,000.
Mr. Chair, same as A, I also worked on this one. I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Auditor Treasurer, Connie?
Hello. Today I'm here for you to consider the appointment of an additional viewer on the following drainage systems: County Ditch Number 5, County Ditch Number 15A, and County Ditch Number 29. These were approved previously and possibly even by the former Auditor Treasurer. That's how long that order has been out there. So Ron Ringquist has a larger team now, and that's the reason for this additional viewer. I would need separate motions for each of the systems.
Okay, so we'll start with County Ditch 5, correct?
So
Correct.
moved, Mr. Chair.
All right, motion by Commissioner Szymanski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 15A,
Yes.
So
All right.
moved.
motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And County Ditch 29, keep me on track, okay? I'll mess this up.
I'll move that request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Central Services Building Maintenance, is Scott coming, or Sheila, you handling it? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Here to ask you to consider approval to replace the carpet within the attorney's office. Upon completion of painting and award the project to Fashion Interiors. We did ask for 2 bids. The first one came from a company that runs with Carpet One, and it was $700 above this bid. Also, I asked the age of the carpet, and it is 20-plus years old. The cost would be $15,376. The funds would come from the county building's major repair account. And then right there, you see the other bid submitted was from MCI, Carpet One.
All right, any questions for Sheila on this maintenance issue?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussions? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do you, are you ready to move into the human resources piece?
I am.
All right.
Here to ask you to consider approval of the 2019 grace period for the flexible reimbursement plans. Those are the flexible spending accounts that employees put their own dollars into. And what the grace period does is just extends a period out where they can pull the funds from their account after you're using them. Includes medical, dependent care, and the limited type flexible spending accounts for claims through March 15th, 2020, and then people would who participate would have through March 31st, 2020 to pull those funds out, or to submit for reimbursement, sorry.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sheila, this is authorized or approved under state statute that they can have this 90-day runout.
Sorry.
It's IRS.
It's IRS rules, okay.
Yes, and the IRS requires that you set your guidelines for the counties a year ahead
Okay.
of time, so Cindy, make
Right.
sure to notify us to set them.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, that was kind of my question. I didn't know we had to act on. I knew it was an IRS ruling, and we still have to approve it? Is that, okay, very good.
All right, with that, what are the wishes of the board?
I move to approve. I've used I use it, and it's a good program.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Thank you. And last, asking you to consider approval to set a closed meeting following the next county board meeting on December 18th to conduct the annual performance review for County Administrator Cindy Ford.
Okay, I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we've had a request to change the open forum and move it in the middle of county administration. Sir, I'll honor your request, but let's take the open forum now. How, is that acceptable to you? I want to take it now, please. So I will open up the portion of the meeting that is an open forum. If anyone wishes to address the board, please approach the podium. Remember, the mics are sensitive but need to be used. And give us your name and address, and we'll go from there. If you can't, if it's not able to be done, we'll make accommodations.
There's quite a few issues I had, but I think we'll stick with the one that's F on your agenda here is what we wanted to address.
Sir, I know a lot of people know you, but can you give your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Ray Byrell. Some of you know me. I spent a few years behind there. Address is 20778 Cable Avenue.
Thank you.
The reason some of us are here, and I thought there was going to be more, but we're concerned about this approval you're doing this or planning on doing this evening. My request would be one, that the first one would be that you'd postpone that at least for a month, approving this.
Right, so you're talking specifically to item F right now?
F.
Okay,
Right,
thank you.
that's what I'm addressing. is
Okay,
F.
thank you.
And I would like it postponed so we could get some, I've heard a lot of remarks out there against this. And I know I was told that there was a petition going around, but I was not aware of it. Out in our area there, in the Winston area, I'm sorry, I was not aware of it. I don't know what you needed for signatures, but I believe that would have been possible. I got the auditor, or the Cindy sent out tax statements for last year, 2017. That shows that you're 11 million, or we are $11 million in debt already. And with this, would make $21 million in debt. Add to that $4 million that was in the bank, that would be $25 million in debt going into the new year. I know you don't look at it that way, but that's the way I look at it. When I left this board, there was no debt. People sitting here all have taxes that have gone extremely high this year for 1 year. This, what you're talking about here on F, isn't even in there yet. So that would raise it again. I don't know the thinking behind this because I've not kept up on it. But I think it's outrageous to put that kind of a debt on the people of McLeod County within less than 6 years. Because in January of 13, there was no debt in this county. Now we're talking close to, and you know this 10 million you're talking about here to do that project is not going to do it. What was the bid on the jail when you first took the first bid? What was it? For how much?
The first bid or the bid we actually took?
Please?
Excuse me, the first bid or the bid we actually took? We rejected the first bid,
Well-
right?
What was the first amount that you had to borrow? Put that way.
Cindy, can you? Yeah, that was a different
So
deal. We
we-
used some different funds.
We didn't borrow for the jail,
Nothing at all?
nothing at all.
Where'd this 11 million that's in that tax statement come from?
That 11 million, I talked with you about that, Ray, and I don't have my numbers because I can't get into the network
Yeah,
on
we're
my
all struggling with
computer.
that, it looks like.
So the county is really only in debt that $3 million that I told you. The other debt that we have is for the septic loans and for the ditch loans that we bonded for. So the county is not in debt for that. Although it's on the books for $11 million, we are only responsible for the $3 million.
Who's going to pay the other 7 off? Or
The individual landowners that got septic loans, and then the individual landowners that are on the ditches that we loaned for.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Cindy, you good? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Ron.
If I recall, the one's a $10 million bond. 5 million of that was for solid waste to be repaid by the abatement funds.
And that I'm not including.
Okay.
That's-
Is that part of your concern, Ray, is that 5 million in the solid waste fund?
The only reason I'm bringing that up is try to compare that to what the project you're talking about. When you're talking about borrowing $10 million, what's it cost to buy the property?
What is it, what do we pay for it? 2.1 million.
You have paid for it already?
Pardon me, what do we agreed to pay for it?
What you agreed to pay for?
Yeah.
2.5 million?
2.1 million.
One?
Yep.
Okay. And this 10 million is to remodel it then? Or is that going to be, are we talking, it'll be all together,
Altogether.
it'll be 12 million?
Yeah, do you want to go over how it's going to be in the Truth and Taxation meeting at 6, but can you give a, kind of a
I
brief?
wish I had my document. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I don't have the document that we were going to go through at the Truth and Taxation with me.
but is
Colleen
he-
is bringing her piece and Connie's bringing her piece.
But I guess if you can, just real quick, explain what we're going to pay for out of the $10 million.
Okay, so we're paying for the purchase of the building and 4 houses out of the 10 million, plus the renovation of the building and the property around it. We did that so we could stay local with the bond, with the debt, at a local bank, at the local banks in McLeod County, so we could get a better interest rate.
Is going to borrow you the 10 million?
Yes,
Is that the same bank that owns the building?
Yes,
yes.
did own it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect, the banker also is a resident of Glencoe and of this district.
I know you are.
And this was researched. I have a number of things here too, and I was ready for tooth and taxation, but not here. But there, I mean, that's beside the point. The stars aligned to whatever. It was our choice to buy it, and it was his choice to sell it. And I think it's a fair price.
Okay, I'm not going to argue the price. I got a personal question for you then. Do you bank at that bank?
I do.
Okay. Then I was right.
Well, one of his banks, he owns 35 banks. I mean, if you're going to get into a war of,
I'm not getting in a quarrel, I'm just asking you a question. I wanted to argue with you, you'd know it.
no, and I didn't mean it that way. I don't like when people make decisions on how much they're worth. You shouldn't judge me by what I'm worth. I don't want to judge you by your worth
Oh, I'm
or
not-
anybody else. And that's the only thing
I
that
don't-
aggravates me a little
I
bit.
don't care what you're worth, I just, in my mind, I was thinking about this since I talked with Cindy, and I figured that I knew the bank owned it, and I figured somebody on the board banked there too, so I wasn't wrong there, that's the only thing I got. I don't know, I guess I'm asking that this gets postponed for a month, and that give some people the chance. I know you bought the building, but I'm sorry, I'm not in favor of it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if
Just a second. Yes, Cindy, go ahead.
If I may add, so to repay the debt on the $10 million, it's going to be a 20-year loan, and we had set aside $322,000 that we have been using for capital projects. We've been levying that for the last 5 years. We're taking those dollars, that $322,000, and reallocating it to this debt to pay it back. In addition, in 2019, we'll have another debt that's being retired on our capital equipment notes. And I don't have that number, I'm sorry, but that was to the tune of another $300,000. Our bond payment is going to be roughly $700,000. So we're almost 90% there already without increasing taxes. We do not have to increase taxes in 2019 for this $10 million. In 2020, your adjustment in the levy will be 1%, roughly $100,000.
If nothing. That's the
Yes.
prediction.
That is the prediction.
All right. Yes, Ray?
Do you know what the tax increase was over the last couple of years? Yeah, you got percentages from certain years on. Can she read them off, please?
Yeah, just have her switch spots with you, and she can come to the podium and use the microphone unless she can. And if you give us your name and address, and then go ahead.
Jeanette Byrold, 23192 Falcon Avenue, Silver
Okay,
Lake.
the mic's, I'm not trying to be picky, but it's hard to hear you, so use the
Pull the
mic.
mic closer.
Pull them up just a little bit, or say names right at your,
Okay. Jeanette Byrold, 23192 Falcon Avenue, Silver Lake. Proposed for 2019 is a 16% increase. 2018 was a 7.2. 2017 was a 3.2. 2016 was a 6.7. 2015 was a minus 6.1. And 2014 was a negative 9.4. So they're proposing a 16% for 2019.
So is that based on your evaluations of your property? What is it worth?
Yeah, how's the value changed on that, right?
That's usually what drives the biggest fluctuations is when there's a evaluation change. And of course, the levies that are affected on that are your county, your school, any kind of water district you're in. I mean,
Right.
they're all included on that form.
Yeah, the value has gone up.
That's the total on here, yeah.
All right, I can still be an open forum. Does anybody else wish to address the board? Yes, sir.
Clem Byro, Winston, 23596. On my property, I have, just for McLeod County now, 38.5% increase. For the city of Winston, I know you don't concern you, 28, and for the school district, 19, for a total of 32% increase. I understand the value has gone up, but with the value and what you take in, why do you have to increase that total that much? Why should a piece of property go up 38.5% increase in taxes just in 1 year? Something's going wrong here.
Well, I would
Either
say,
you got to get a lid on this, or, you know, there's no reason that should go up 38.5%.
Mr. Chair.
Pardon?
If I may ask, Clem, right?
I can't hear you.
Your name, you're a Clem?
Yeah?
Yes.
Not Ron, Clint.
All right. But is this on residential property, or
Right.
is this not
Residential.
farmland?
Residential, yeah, that's another thing. You guys are saying that it's transferring because of the land going down and residential going up. Well, my farm is also going up. It's not going down. My farm went up. Well, it doesn't matter, but it went up quite a bit too. But one of the properties is 38.5%. Now, there's no reason for that.
On the, the
And that's
evaluation.
just you guys here, just McLeod County. That's got nothing to do with the city. We were at the city there tonight, and they said, well, it's you guys over here doing it because you're raising the valuation. They blamed it on the assessor, raising the valuation. We talked to the assessor, and they said, well, that's what they want to increase their need for the covered expenses.
no,
There's
that's
something
not-
going on.
No, that's not true.
Well, I don't know. Somebody's, you know, somebody's.
Well, the assessor, and I've asked for her to see if she can get over here early to answer some of your questions, which will be outside the board meeting because we won't be able to stay in it. However, you know, the truth and taxation meeting is after this. She is going to meet with landowners regarding those issues, but to say that the taxes are, the formula fits what we want to spend is not true. And former Commissioner Byro will tell you the same thing. So that's, I want to be very
Well, it's
clear with
immaterial.
that.
I mean, we can sit here and blame somebody, I can blame somebody. Immaterial is,
not blaming
this is
it.
going out of hand.
Okay.
Absolutely out of hand.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this to go that high. And if you take 38% in 2 or 3 years, that's going to be double or triple what you paid before.
So
You don't care, do you?
I care a
No,
lot.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, there are just so many factors that affect evaluation of a property, and improvements and assessments. Okay.
All right. Anybody else wish to address the board? If not, we'll end the open forum and move to our administrative items in the agenda. First item is the commissioner's calendars. Rich?
Since our last board meeting, I was actually had a little bit of time off because of a vacation that my wife planned, which was nice. I did get back in time to go to the AMC conference over the weekend. It was a great conference. We donated a basket of goods there that ended up in Wright County that they were happy, and we were able to get a basket back from Beltrami County. So a couple of the things that I attended that were highlights of the AMC meeting were the paper performance session that was put on by Crow Wing County, and I also attended the Medicare, or not Medicare, but the help for veterans that are having incarceration problems. So those sessions were both eye-opening and helpful to me. So that's really brings us up to today. We met with the legislatures. We've been in meetings now since 1 o'clock, so we met with the legislatures and then a couple of elected officials for the county. So brings us up to tonight.
Okay. Primary meeting since the last time we met, county extension meeting, where we met with each of the employees through the extension contract and gave their evaluations and had some time with our regional director on what some future plans might be for the upcoming year. Last week had a unit meeting with First District Association, and Commissioner Kruger was able to join me for that as we had a discussion with the dairy producers that were there about the agricultural plastics issue that McLeod County is dealing with and how we can best make sense out of that in a program that works for central Minnesota and hopefully lead the path to a very economical and sensible way to dealing with this instead of where others seem to be interested in surrounding it with the rules and regulations. Last night, fairground staff and I met with, we invited the 3 primary horse groups in the county to meet with us to look at some long-range plans as related to using the McLeod County Fairgrounds. And we covered things like the show ring, stalling options, and definitely things we can do to attract more equine-related shows and events. And we'll be meeting again in a couple months as they had time to go back to some of their group members and talk about some of the things that we can do and see what we can do about implementing them within the long-range plans of the county fairgrounds.
Real quick, after last board meeting, our workshops that were already discussed, other meetings regarding some employee issues, including some union negotiations, that there was more phone calls on my end regarding that, and I think we were able to get through those insurance reopeners. At least that's what we're working towards. The biggest news that I want to bring the board up to date and what's taken most of my time over the last couple of weeks is the CHS director has resigned or intends to resign from her position. So with that, just know that there'll be a transition period. I'm not sure how this all looks yet. I would hesitantly predict that it would be one of the local public health directors that would do the job in the interim, and then we would move forward in filling that position in some capacity. It's an opportunity for us to look at some different options with that if we want to. It doesn't have to be the same model that we have. It's an awkward time at the end of the year. The officers of the committee will be changing, and potentially board members could be changing. So right now we're going to focus on the transition of it, make sure everything, all the obligations are met, and I have that meeting tomorrow. So I think it's scheduled for a few hours. So hopefully I can have that dialed in and report back to you and go from there. Ryan?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since our last board meeting, I attended the AMC conference in Bloomington on Monday and Tuesday of this week. On the 3rd and 4th of December, and I'm a member of the Health and Human Services Committee at AMC, and so we had extensive discussions on how to work with the new state administration on revamping the services provided through the state of Minnesota for health and human services. And we have an extensive platform that they'll be lobbying the state legislature with those issues, trying to streamline the process and make it as efficient as possible. Then yesterday I had a Joint Powers Board meeting with our Health Insurance Committee talking about concerns with our program and the employee health plans that we have for the combined McLeod, Sibley, and Trailblazer staffs. And so we're working on issues in that area as well. And then today I had the Prime West Health Joint Powers Board meeting up in Alexandria, and we are finishing the year off. We said goodbye to some commissioners on our 13 county board. They are retiring or were not re-elected this year. So we had 4 members over the Prime West board that we said goodbye to today. Also at AMC, we also said goodbye to a lot of old friends that have been commissioners for many years. Our estimate was that about 50 commissioners left their positions or will leave their positions at the end of this year. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's the extent of my past week.
All right, thank you. Doug?
Mr. Chair, since our last meeting, things that weren't covered, I did two sessions with KARP Radio on Highway 212 in conjunction with Carver County and Norwood Young America on the progress of what's happening with 212 and what needs to happen in the future. And there'll be some follow-up on some more of that as time goes on. I also, on the 27th, attended Buffalo Creek Watershed, where the discussion was on some ditches right west of Glencoe here on the Marsh project, and also some drainage additions that are being proposed to Morningside Avenue here in Glencoe. I also, on the 28th, had McLeod County Housing and Development, and on Sunday night, the 2nd, pre-AMC, we had our MRC. There, the discussion, a lot of discussion on different problems, and some of them that we had just talked about tonight: the taxes, the cost of labor, the cost of benefits. It's hitting. It's not just McLeod County. It's hitting everywhere. But unfortunately, we have to move forward. Then on the 3rd, I attended my policy committee meeting with Environmental and Natural Resources. There are a lot of things with permitting, drainage, DNR, impairments on trying to do some ditching. Was discussed on the 5th. I had North Fork Crow board meeting in Litchfield, followed by a MRF meeting with, in conjunction with contract renewal with West Central, our people that are picking up our renewables. And on that evening, last night, I also had Midwest Development Committee in Olivia. And today we've been meeting with elected officials and our legislators, which brings us up to now. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Cindy, anything to add?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll take item A.
The first item is the notification of the upcoming McLeod County Board Workshop to be held on December 18th, following the county board meeting located at the Glencoe City Center. Right. The next notification, Sheila, do you want to come forward and talk about this a little bit? Sheila's been working on the project about touring some county facilities on December 14th to get some ideas of what other county courthouses have done most recently on remodels. So Sheila, do you want to give an update on the counties that we're going to visit?
Sure. On December 14th, we'll be visiting Wright County and Nicollet County. The exact agendas for those two counties are to be determined. I know that you've seen the calendar notices, the invitations. Most of you have accepted one or more of those visits. So tomorrow I hope to make the schedule so you know where you'll be going and who you'll be with. Then on Monday, we'll visit Sherburne County, December 17th. That agenda is complete. You'll see that in the invitation that you received yesterday afternoon. I talked to the person who planned the $62 million project there. He said that number a lot of times. He said, well, we're on a much smaller scale, thankfully. But they have a lot of facilities that are either in completion or in progress and almost being completed, or some that they're just having to shuffle departments around, kind of like what you had to do when you were renovating the law enforcement center in the courthouse. So I think it'll be a good conversation. We'll first meet with the person that's overseeing the project, and then we'll go to visit a few of his facilities that make the most sense after your discussions with him for whoever attends.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Item C is to consider to set the 2019 non-union salary increases at 3% for all full and part-time employees who are not at the salary range maximum. In addition, a 3% for the sheriff posse, veteran van drivers, and returning seasonal part-time 67 shifts would receive the 3% as well, with effective date of December 23rd, 2018.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there any discussion other than I would ask? This is consistent with the union's contracts, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
All 7 of them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item D is to consider approval to adopt Resolution 18 CB 30 to set the 2019 Commissioner salary per diem and mileage reimbursement rate. I apologize that this resolution did not make it into your packet, so I will sum it up for you. Setting the annual salary for county commissioners of McLeod County shall be the sum of $30,234 beginning January 1st, 2019. This is a 3% increase, like you just gave the non-union for 2019. In addition, there was no change. The per diem for a full day, that stays at $125, and for half a day, that amount stays at $75. In addition to that, you have set your mileage rate at 35 cents, to reimburse you for your mileage that you claim. This is not the IRS standard rate, which is, I think, at 54.5 cents a mile that you can reimburse yourself.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, move to table until we set elected salaries for all other electeds in McLeod County.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E.
Okay. Item E is consider approval to finalize the Trailblazer Joint Powers Agreement. That is in your packet with the lined out words and the underlined words that were added to the contract.
Basically.
I cannot speak to that, so Mr. Chair, if you would please.
Yeah, basically, it's bringing on Wright County as a full-time partner, and WCAT is no longer a partner, is the oversimplification of it, and I would move to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a comment, being I said I sit on Trailblazer, it is basically formalities with this, with the change of WCAT getting out and the county coming in, and I actually feel a lot better with the county there because of the finances of the county are more solid than they were with WCAT, if that makes sense.
Yep, I agree. Any further discussions? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F.
Item F, I would like to invite Arcelia from PFM, which stands for Public Financial Management. She has the documents to present to you on the $10 million bond debt that you will be approving here shortly.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Chair, my name is Arcelia Dietert. I, as Cindy said, come from PFM Financial Advisors. We got hired from McLeod County to negotiate the bond sale with the local bank. Our job was to provide an independent review and make sure that the sale was in line with what we see in the public market. We had a few contacts with the bank. This week, we negotiated the rate to be 3.37 for a 20-year bond. They agreed on that, and that was based on a sale that we saw this week for North Mankato, which has the same credit rating as the county. So we made sure that whatever the bank provided to the county was in line with market conditions. So we thought 3.37 interest rate for 20 years was a very good rate. 10-year, there's a 10-year provision, call provision, meaning that after 10 years, the county can prepay the bonds without any penalty if the funds are available. Providing a private sale with the bank reduce cost of issuance. Usually when we sell in the public market, we have underwriter discount to banks that they provide, that they buy the bonds. We have rating fees for the AA rating that the county has, and we don't have that in this situation. Usually in the public market, we have paying agent fees, and in these situations, we don't. So we say the county saved quite a few fees that a bond issue usually has for this kind of transaction. So
Arcelia, may I interrupt, Mr.
Sure.
Chair?
Yes.
We saved about $50,000. Wouldn't you say?
In cost of issuance?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just in general, the first time the negotiation happened during the Monday, Tuesday day, based on the North Mankato sale and the original bid, we got to save the county around $225,000 from the original bid to what we ended up negotiating. The schedules for the bond sale is in your packet, I believe. And so you will see in page number 2, the annual debt service payments are shown in there. And as Cindy said, it's around 700 and so 1,000 at the beginning of the amortization schedule, and then they go down to around 680,000.
All right.
Mr. Chair, do you have any questions for
Any questions
Arcelia?
from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Ms. Diedrich says that you referred to the interest rate at 3.37. Is that a fixed rate for the duration of the bond, or I thought I noticed something?
That
in
is
the
a
packet.
calculation that includes all the costs.
All the costs.
So if you can see on page 4 of your preliminary schedules, the bank offered three different rates.
Mm-hmm.
The first 10 years of the bonds were at 2.75.
Okay.
The second term from 2029 to 33 is at 3.30, and then the last 6 years of the bonds is at 3.65.
Okay.
Calculating all that plus the costs of the bonds, it ended up 3.37 total cost
All right.
interest rate.
Okay. So I guess the concern I had was the 2.75% interest rate for the first 10 years. And then, as you had stated, that at the end of 10 years, we could call
Pay
the
it off.
bonds at
Yep.
that time.
So we made sure that the lowest rate of 2.75 was the first 10 years.
Right.
And
Okay.
once it went up,
All right.
then you
Okay.
could pay it off.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
a little bit off topic, then I'll come back to where we're supposed to be. But earlier this evening during open forum, we heard some issues and some I think we gave answers to those as best as we could. But one of the comments that I heard is that we may not care about the tax burden, and I would definitely argue that and say that just the opposite is what we do. And all of the board members pay property taxes, all of our employees pay property taxes, and we do the best that we can to monitor and to limit the tax burden that's out there by making hopefully good decisions up here. We made the effort to pursue the Unclaus building because we are trying to limit our exposure to escalating costs of all these buildings and to control the quality of service, which we were trying to hold quite high for our constituents. And in pursuing this option, of course, we'll be taking the Lester Prairie Shop, the Silver Lake Shop, the North Complex, Annex, HHS building, and excess farmland that is currently owned by the county back and selling that back into private hands. So because we care, I believe, about the tax burden, the approval of this is the next step. So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 18 CB 31.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would just like to echo what Commissioner Wright just said. I'm 70 years old, and I probably have never had this many butterflies in my stomach, but I really believe that this is the right thing to do. I mean, we do our due diligence, we do care. I apologize a little bit for being so compassionate about it, but we're out of efficiencies. All our costs are rising. The efficiencies that we are demanding, lack of a better word, and trying to look out for our constituents of the county. I really do believe that, believe it or not, I had some calls that thought we should build a downtown for $35 million and worry about it. And I'm going to try to get a $30 million building for $11 or $12 million. But and I know I'm getting out into the weeds now, but I do care about my district, and I care about McLeod County, and I really believe that we can find some efficiencies here that we couldn't find before.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ryan.
Well, I want to thank my constituents for coming in tonight, and I know this is important to all of us. You know, as long as I've been on the county board, and, you know, we've been looking at the efficiency of our operations and the money that we've actually spent on the social services building, you know, the near flooding incident that we had at the North Complex. I've been firmly convinced that we needed to upgrade our facilities for our offices. And I think this one, you know, initially I thought it would be an ideal spot to build downtown here on the east side of the courthouse. But when we talk to the architects and designers, and when you figure out that if you're going to bring all those offices together, you need adequate parking space. We probably would have had to acquire another half a block or city block just to accommodate parking downtown. And so, you know, we haven't, you know, come to this conclusion quickly or easily. We've worked on this for over a year. We've been working on designs and proposals, and you know, I think, as Doug said, you know, for several $1 million more, we could have built a facility, you know, in downtown Glencoe. But from the perspective of getting the most bang for our buck, I think this project is the one that serves us well, not just for the next decade, but probably 3 or 4 decades out. So I think we can look at this project and say we are judiciously investing the taxpayers' resources to provide services for our children, grandchildren, and hopefully you know, on down the line we'll be here providing adequate services for all of McLeod County.
Rich, do you have something to add?
Yes, I guess I'd like to just weigh in that, echoing the comments that have already been made. We've been studying this for a while. I look at this project as something that's going to carry the county for the next 30-plus years. In the short term, we would probably be spending this same amount of money repairing old buildings that are worn out. This gives us the opportunity to have a rock-solid building. We can get the interior design to fit all the needs of the county, of the staff. It's really our one way to keep the efficiencies moving forward of the county by taking care of our constituents and all the county residents as hopefully pretty much a one-stop shop for most residential needs of the county. That's probably why I'm so much in favor of this. I think we've worked hard on it. I think this is a very nominal cost for the amount that we're getting for our dollars.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay.
You gotta come to the mic, or we
I'm
gotta bring a
sorry.
mic to
Bring
you.
the mic to him if you can.
I'm happy to get you one if you need one.
So we don't get around as good as they used to.
That's okay. Like I said, we can get you one too.
This $10 million, you're telling us now that's all you're gonna have to borrow to do this project.
$10 million is to buy the building
You'll
and
get
the
that
remodel.
project done.
There's an additional
You-
two.
You will get that project done for that money?
Okay,
No.
no, so we split the
Yep.
debt up. We were doing 10 million now, and then we were planning on doing 2 million in February.
and
We can
explain
post,
why we did that
and we
again.
can postpone that, until later in the year, but that was our initial plan back in September.
Yep, so the estimate of the project, I guess, would be better said to be $12 million. All right?
Okay,
The $10 million, we already talked about and had some, we'll call it discussion about why we brought the amount to the $10 million so that local banks could bid it, and that was where the discussion happened. All right, so the project is a $12 million project, I think would be a better
Okay,
say.
that's what I thought I heard. How many more employees are you gonna have after this is built?
Well, the goal of the board, and I will tell you this, is to have less employees when it's built.
That would
You
be
sure?
correct.
Because that is the goal of the board. We want to increase the efficiencies
I
of
know what the
it.
goal of the board is always, and it doesn't always work that
No,
way.
it doesn't, and it didn't, and I know you probably have stories of that yourself, but that is what we want. We want less
I
employees.
know that's what you want.
We can't control what, state and federal statute requires us to have, and I know you're aware of that, Ray,
You
but
can control,
we can try.
Paul, you know well enough, you control more than what you are doing, because you were on with us.
Yep,
When we left, there was no debt here, I said that before. This is ridiculous, but just one other comment yet, and then I'll get out of here. I called over to the jail on the Monday after Thanksgiving, which was a 4-day weekend. They had less prisoners when she called, I think she's, excuse me just a minute here, I got it written down, let me make sure. Okay, on 11/26, there were 31 prisoners, and that was on a Monday morning in the jail here. When I called, there was only 28 because some had been released already. So I called this last Monday, and it was 37. That's 2 higher than what was capacity of that jail at the time. So I hope this works better, what you're planning, than that jail project did, because whatever that costs, I know it costs at least $4 million, because that was in the bank, and that was burning a hole in the pocket of you guys. There was, this last Monday morning, 3rd, there was 37 prisoners in there, so that's 2 over what capacity is. I don't know if Renville County still takes prisoners like they used to?
They do.
They do, okay.
Yep.
$50 a head?
I don't know what it is ahead right now. I
was
think about that.
55 last year.
55?
Okay.
Yeah. But
So I'm not sure I completely understood your question, or what your statement, but we can check with the sheriff's office and clarify that. But your question was that why we were 2 over capacity?
No.
old
No,
capacity.
if Ray,
Old capacity.
may I interject my interpretation of what you said? Prior to construction, the jail had 35 beds in it.
Beds, right.
Okay. After construction, it now has 55 beds in it. Okay. Talking to
58, I think she told me, but okay, 55.
or 54, anyway. But according to the sheriff's office, they they cannot fill more than 80% of that at any, or Department of Corrections, so that we have capacity for, major incidents that we could
I
fill
know.
it.
I know.
So I just wanted to clarify that. And, but
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say thank you to Ray for his years of service on the county board, and I was really pleased when I was elected to fill this district that Ray was very emphatic that we were debt-free, and I certainly appreciate that. Your years of service that helped McLeod County to be debt-free.
All right, we have a motion on the table. I guess I get to give my 2 cents. We do care. There's not 5 people that care more about this. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Anything, other items to come before the board? Press relations, sir, anything? All right, looking for a motion to,
Recess.
yeah, just a second, make sure I get this right. And we'll recess till December 18th, to 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center. I just want to mention the Truth and Taxation meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
All right,
So moved, Mr. Chair.
motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.